All right. So, besides weight loss, we also want to see how your body's changing in a lot of other ways. So, I included this measurement tracker so that you can track your measurements and we can see how they're changing. I would say the best time to measure, like do a starting measurements, see where you're at starting off, and then every 4 weeks, like once a month, update your measurements and see how they're progressing. And then at the end of the 6 month time frame, see where you're at by the end. Measurements are such a great indicator of things changing, even when the weight is not changing. So, water weight will oftentimes mess with your head, and you won't see the progress you're making like truly show up on the scale right away. Sometimes you have fat loss going on in the background, but you have like water weight making it look like your weight's still high because you haven't lost that water weight. And then when you do, you're going to see a big drop on the scale. So when you can see the measurements changing and you can feel it in your clothes, that is when you know that you're on the right track with things. Just make sure that you're measuring in the same spot. I would probably do your measurements without any clothes so you don't have like one thing that's tighter one day and then, like you can have like spandex pants that like really cinch you in and then you take them off and you're like, why are my measurements bigger? Do it in your privacy. Like I would get your true actual measurements, see where you're at, and get your marking starting points, and then continuously assess these over time. If you don't have a tape measure, there are like so many cheap ones that you can get online. Don't spend a ton of money on a measuring tape. It's they're not that expensive. It doesn't need to be anything fancy either. Just get your measurement markers. I love measurements and I think they are so important because they can really help you see changes. I also truly believe that you need to get lots of pictures. Pictures and measurements plus the scale are really going to paint you a better picture of how you're progressing over time, not just that number on the scale. So get your measurements done and update them once a month, once every other month. Another key thing to note: time of the month. I would not measure yourself around that time frame. People often get a little bit bloated. Their measurements may be a little bit skewed because of that bloating. So I would try to make sure that when you do update measurements, not doing it around that time of the month. And I know that sometimes you can have wacko times and it's unpredictable when you're going to have that happen. But if you're feeling bloated, not the best day to do your measurements. It's not going to paint you the real picture. I would also probably measure around the same time, like first thing in the morning or right before bed or whatever. Keep it a similar time so they're comparable measurements. All right, get those done. I will see you in the next video.